Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to be doing my full in-depth review of Boom. Now this was the first episode written by Stephen Moffat since he was showrunner in 2017's Twice Upon a Time. And these singular episodes have been known to be quite well made. So does this live up to the expectations? Now, talking about the Doctor themselves, since they played such a big role in this, Ncuti Gatwa did a phenomenal job, as did Millie Gibson. But talking about Ncuti Gatwa himself for the moment, I thought he did extremely well with the performance. He really did give a great performance in this. I feel like some of the dialogue wasn't written as great as it could have been, but talking about the performance itself, I think he did exceptionally well. Now, this has led to a few people saying that he's now their favourite, which I think is brilliant. But for me personally, talk about Ncuti Gatwa, he's a great Doctor, but at the moment I'm struggling to sort of see him as some sort of ancient alien. I like what they've done with him, he's so much more youthful, which I think is great, and I've really liked the direction they've taken him in. But I feel like it sort of doesn't help to make me feel like he is that ancient alien, like, for example, the 11th or 12th Doctor was. So for me, on that instances, I haven't got that yet, but we're only 3 episodes in, so it's still very early stages. But talk about Ncuti Gatwa himself, he did a phenomenal job in this episode, and yeah, really great, really well done. Now, as I just mentioned, Millie Gibson did exceptionally well as well. I really liked her performance in this, and she's done very well for a 19-year-old. I didn't expect any different, but she's doing extremely well for just being 19 years of age, so she has done phenomenally. Now, I really like her performance in this. Probably my favourite scenes with her was where she was thinking on her feet, trying to save the Doctor with the ambulance, thinking about the combat. That is just the perfect thing a companion would do, trying to save the Doctor, thinking on their feet, and trying to work out what to do. So I really like that and how they done that with her. So yeah, she did a great job, just like Ncuti. So great performances all round for this episode. Watching it the second time round, I enjoyed the cold opening a lot more. Now, watching it and Unleashed, it was really nice to see how they done it, but I really like how they did it with the smoke and the fire and the sort of background with the LED lights. I thought they did really well with that, and it really did look great. So I must admit that the background for this episode and the whole set and everything with it being made looked incredibly well, so they did amazing with that as well. I also thought choosing Susan Twist to be the voice of the ambulance and the face of the AI was such a brilliant move, because again it's keeping me wanting to know who she is and why she's popping up everywhere. So I thought that was a really great choice. And something else that I liked that they done was actually John's eyes. When I saw it in the preview of Doctor Unleashed, it looked like something out of 28 Days Later, and I thought it looked absolutely brilliant. So I really like those two additions to the episode as well. One thing I didn't understand is, if this is Ruby's first planet, why did the Doctor land on this one where there's a war if this is her first? But I think that is small in comparison to the actual thing itself of it being Ruby's first planet in 6 months. Now, if Ruby's been travelling on the TARDIS for 6 months and this is her first alien planet, that just feels so incredibly unbelievable to actually believe. So it just doesn't make sense that. I think the reason this has happened, because I genuinely think the Devil's Cord was originally meant to be later on this series. Maybe Rogue was actually meant to be the second episode, and the Devil's Cord was meant to be about the 6th, and they moved it. So I feel like that's why. But I feel like it just doesn't make sense for last episode with the Devil's Cord for it to be 6 months of travelling, and now it's her first alien planet. It just doesn't make sense. So for me, I don't understand. Even if they moved Boom and the Devil's Cord, so you had Boom just after the Space Babies, then that would make sense. And then at least after that, with the Devil's Cord, you could believe 6 months of travel. So for me, I feel like they've moved around the placing of the episode, and it just makes it feel very odd. Unless there's a certain reason behind it, but I just generally think that they've moved these episodes around. Now, talking about Ruby's reaction herself, I've got one good thing and one bad thing to say. Now, the good thing is obviously her performance. She did very well, and it's very believable that she's looking at an alien planet, and this is her first time she's actually been on one. So that was a good thing. The bad thing is, for me, it just feels like it's very similar to the shot of the alien planets we've got in the Space Babies. So it feels a bit recycled, so I didn't really like that. It just feels very similar to the two we've already got. But apart from that, it was great to see her reaction. Now, I mentioned this in my Space Babies and Devil's Cord review, but I'm enjoying the opening tide sequence a lot more. With the updated shots, I just feel like it's a lot better, and I've just got so much more used to the music as well. So I'm definitely enjoying this a lot more than I did when it first came out with the Space Babies. As mentioned earlier, there were some bits of dialogue which I thought weren't written as well as they could have been. Now, the first one is when they discover that the landmine is made by Villain Guard. The Doctor's given a bit of bulky dialogue which just doesn't fit the sort of high-stakes vibe they're going for. And then another one was when they were about to sort of swap the weight with the urn and trying to match it. Again, he was babbling deliberately, but again, it just didn't feel too right. It just felt a bit forced. But thankfully, these are my only problems with the dialogue, but they're still there, so I had to mention them. Although on the flip side of the negative of the dialogue, they were given some funny lines which were performed very funnily as well. Like when Shooty was given the line as the Doctor, oh, they're clearing the fog so nobody chokes to death before they could be safely shot. That was really funny. And then Ruby saying sorry in the episode when she was shooting Monday and nearly got the wrong arm. So those were some funny bits of dialogue which I really enjoyed. Like in the Space Babies where the bogeyman is made out of bogies, I thought it was quite obvious that this urn was a dead body. So again, it feels just a bit forced, this scene. Like when it's trying to be explained, it just sort of feels very obvious. So I feel like this scene was just a bit too forced, to be honest. Because it just seems very obvious that that's a dead body. Even if it wasn't an urn, it's still got a dead body inside. And you can sort of see that it's been squashed up because you can see like the eye in certain scenes. And in another one you can see the ear. So I think that was quite obvious. So that was one bit that I didn't think was done too well. The urn, though, is very creepily creative, and I like how Ruby demands that she hands the urn, even though the Doctor forbids it, because it's a typical companion thing where she just doesn't listen to the Doctor. And the great thing about this episode is the Doctor can literally do nothing about it at all, because he's standing on a landmine. So again, that all was really cool. Now, as you know, this episode was littered with references, and I did really enjoy them. I enjoyed the ones like the Anglican Marines, the Moon and the President's Wife, the sentient mud being reference to the 13th Doctor's era. Then you also had the Fish Fingers Custard one, which I thought didn't work as well because it hasn't really been mentioned since the 11th Doctor era, Fish Fingers and Custard. And I felt like it was just put in, obviously, because it was Stephen Moffat writing it. So that one I didn't feel fitted in as well. But another one which I really did enjoy was Where There's Snow, There's Hope, sort of a reference to one of the last episodes of Peter Capaldi. Now, talking about the side characters, Splice I did not like as a character. I thought she was very selfish and not spatially aware. He was standing on a landmine and she was sort of running to her dad. Even though that was just like a hologram, she was still running towards him. So I didn't really like that, although I did like the tension that scene brought where she was running towards the Doctor. So I did like that scene, but her herself I didn't really enjoy. Monday and Canto, I did enjoy them as characters. I thought it was very sad when they sort of realised that they liked each other and then he died, so I really liked that as well. And also speaking about Monday as well, I do like how there was a scene where she was pointing the gun at the Doctor and shooting his arm, trying to get him to drop the urn. So that was a really another high stakes tension scene, which I really enjoyed. So those sort of scenes I did enjoy. But Splice as a character I didn't enjoy, but then you've got Monday and Canto, which I did. Like I said in my initial thoughts for the episode, it was a very pleasant surprise to see Verada in this. I did see her and think, is that her? But then I worked out that it was her, which was really cool. And it was really great to see her in because it wasn't sport, which was brilliant. So it was a really pleasant surprise. I think she's another Adiola, though, where it's sort of like she plays one character in one episode and then in the next series she's the companion but someone different. So I feel like that's going to be another situation. But yeah, I like to see her character and I look forward to seeing her as a companion. One scene I did like with Monday and Ruby was where the Doctor suggested they should get married, so they're called Monday Sunday. I thought that was really cool and funny as well. Now, my favourite scene in the entire episode has to be when Ruby's shot. There was so much tension, it was so unexpected, and it was just well written all round and performed. You've got the bit with the snow, which I really liked, and then you've got the next of kin thing where Ruby really wanted to find out who her next of kin was because she thought she was dying, and the Doctor's reaction as well. That is just my favourite scene of the episode, and it was just well done all round. That scene where it was dad to dad with the Doctor and John, I really liked that as well. I thought that was quite cool. And there seems to be a lot of reference to the Doctor being a dad and a grandfather. So I feel like there's going to be something that goes on with that. But that where the mine almost goes off is my second favourite scene. Because again, that's high tension and really enjoyable. I've also got to say I feel complete now finally seeing what this shot is because we've had this sort of shown about the place for like months and months and months, even well before the 60th anniversary, so I'm finally glad that we got to see what it was. And it was nice to see the first, I think, TARDIS dematerialisation at the end of the episode from the outside, so that was really nice to see, and that snowflake at the end was quite a nice touch as well. Now, despite a rewatch, which I must say has allowed me to enjoy it more, I still do find it a hint boring. I think after the first 20 minutes it just starts to feel a bit more boring because you're in one section of the episode, which I know it just sort of happens. You can't really do anything about it because this is the whole point. The Doctor is stuck in one place. But you're in a certain section in the actual war camp itself with a certain handful of sort of characters, and then it's just like that for the whole episode. So although it's well written and great performances, I just feel like it can be a bit boring. So I have enjoyed it more the second time round, but I must admit, I still do find it boring. And I wouldn't say that it's as amazing as a lot of people have made out. It is good, and I'm glad people have found it really great, but I don't think it is as good as people think. So I think it's slightly overhyped. What I also loved about the first two episodes was the cosmic joyride vibe, and this really did miss it. Now, I expected this to be a step away from it, but we could have at least had a bit at the beginning, a bit at the end, or a bit of both, where we just get that sort of hint of the cosmic joyride. This just didn't feel like it, so this is probably why I didn't enjoy it as well. I'm hoping, although next week we sort of move away from it again, I'm sort of hoping we do get it. From the scenes at the beginning with the Doctor and Ruby, it does look like there will sort of be that sort of like relationship between them, that cosmic joyride. So I'm not too worried about it for next week, but this week just really did miss it, which I really felt was a great shame, because this is what I've really enjoyed about the series so far. Now, originally I would have labelled it probably a 6 out of 10 to be very generous, and I'm going to up it to a 7 out of 10, but it is below my Space Babies, because I did rank Space Babies 7 out of 10, but I actually enjoy the Space Babies more than this one, because although, again, this is well written and well performed, I just feel like it can be slightly boring, unfortunately. And like I said a second ago about next week's episode, it does look quite creepy and a step away from the cosmic joyride, but I really do like the vibe it's giving off. I'm staying cautiously optimistic, but the reviews that have come out, the early reviews, have been really positive, and I really do feel like this is going to be a great episode, so I'm really looking forward to next week's episode as well. Also, speaking about Stephen Moffat himself, I'm really glad he's back writing Doctor Who for certain episodes, so I'm really pleased about that. I wouldn't say this was a great sort of introduction episode since he come back from his era, so I feel like this sort of let him down slightly. I'm hoping his Christmas special, Joy to the World, is going to be a lot better than this one, because I don't feel like this is as strong as his other singular episodes. But again, I'm glad Stephen Moffat has come back, because he can write some good speeches for a Doctor, so I'm really glad he's back, even though this episode didn't live up to my expectations. But what I'd love to know is what you guys think. Did you enjoy it, or did you find it slightly boring like me? Let me know in the comments below. Now, going off the poll itself I put out there, the vast majority either love it or like it, with nobody actually saying they hate it, which is really good. But what I'd love to know is what you think, so let me know in the comments below. But again, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully see you in my next video soon. Thank you all for watching, and take care.